The first time I told my husband I wanted to start my own business, he didn't even look up from his phone. "You already have enough hobbies," he said. "Let's focus on things that actually make money." Those words stayed with me far longer than he probably intended. My name is Emily, and at the time I was 34 years old, living with my husband, Jason, in a quiet suburb outside Dallas, Texas. We had been married for 9 years. We didn't have children, but we had a mortgage, 2 busy careers, and what looked like a stable marriage from the outside. Inside our home, though, something had slowly changed. Jason wasn't cruel. He never yelled or insulted me in front of people. His disappointment came quietly, wrapped in little comments that chipped away at my confidence. If your idea were that good, someone else would already be doing it. Maybe stick to your regular job. We can't afford to throw money away. I worked full-time in marketing, but I had always dreamed of opening a small online business selling handmade home decor and personalized gifts. Designing things made me feel alive. Every evening after work, I would sketch ideas, learn new software, and watch tutorials while Jason watched sports in the living room. One night, I showed him my first product designs. He glanced at them for maybe 5 seconds. "Looks expensive to make." That was it. No questions, no encouragement, no curiosity. I stopped showing him my ideas after that. Instead, I quietly started saving money from my own paycheck. I skipped expensive lunches, canceled subscriptions I barely used, and sold things around the house I no longer needed. After 8 months, I had enough to launch a simple website. I didn't ask Jason for $1. When the first order came in, I cried. It wasn't because of the money. It was because a complete stranger believed my work had value. Over the next few months, orders slowly increased. I packed boxes before work and answered customer messages during lunch breaks. Every evening became another chance to improve my products. Jason noticed the packages piling up near the front door. "Still playing business owner?" He joked. I smiled politely. "Yes," he laughed. "I hope you're keeping track of how much you're losing." I knew arguing wouldn't change his mind. So, I kept working. By the end of my first year, my little business earned enough to cover our grocery bill every month. Jason didn't celebrate. Instead, he said, "Don't get too excited. Small businesses fail all the time." His words hurt, not because I believed him anymore, because I realized he wanted to be right more than he wanted me to succeed. That realization changed something inside me. I stopped looking for his approval. I invested in better equipment. I hired a freelance designer for my logo. I learned bookkeeping. I treated my dream like a real business, even if no one else did. Then something unexpected happened. A popular home decor influencer shared one of my products. Within 48 hours, I had more orders than I had received in the previous 6 months combined. I barely slept that week. Friends congratulated me. Customers left heartfelt reviews. Even my parents called to say how proud they were. Jason looked surprised more than anything. "I guess you got lucky," he said. "Lucky, not hardworking, not determined. Lucky, I didn't argue. Success doesn't need to defend itself." Months passed, and the business kept growing. Then, life changed overnight. Jason's company announced major layoffs. He came home carrying a cardboard box. I lost my job. For the first time in years, I saw fear in his eyes. We sat together at the kitchen table in complete silence. The mortgage payment was due in 3 weeks. Our emergency savings would only last a short time. Jason stared at the bills spread across the table. Then, he looked at me. Finally, he asked the question I never imagined I would hear. "Emily, how much is your business actually making?" Jason's question hung in the air longer than I expected. "Emily, how much is your business actually making?" I looked at him for a moment before answering. "I'll show you." I opened my laptop and logged into my business dashboard. I wasn't trying to impress him. I simply wanted him to see what I had spent the last 2 years building while he dismissed it as a hobby. His eyes widened as I scrolled through the numbers. Monthly sales, customer reviews, repeat orders, wholesale inquiries, projected revenue. He stayed quiet. For once, there was no joke waiting at the end of his silence. I didn't know, he finally said. I know, I replied gently. You never told me it had become this. I tried to tell you at the beginning. He lowered his eyes. I wasn't angry anymore. That surprised me. I had imagined this moment many times, expecting to feel victorious. Instead, I just felt calm. There was a difference between proving someone wrong and proving something to yourself. I had already done the second one. A week later, my business income covered our entire mortgage payment. I clicked the payment button from my office desk and leaned back in my chair. I remembered every comment that had made me question myself. It's just a hobby. You'll lose money. Be realistic. Yet here I was, paying for the home we both lived in. That evening, Jason came into my workspace carrying 2 mugs of tea. I owe you an apology. I nodded, but didn't interrupt. I wasn't just wrong about your business, he continued. I was wrong about the way I treated your dreams. Those words mattered more than hearing. You were right. He looked around the room at the shelves of neatly packed orders. I kept thinking that because your dream was different from mine, it wasn't important. I smiled sadly. I never needed you to run the business with me. I just needed you not to laugh at it. His face fell. I did laugh. Yes, and I made you feel small. You did. He didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. For the first time in a long time, he simply listened. The next few months weren't magically perfect. Jason searched for a new job while helping around the house more than he ever had before. Sometimes he asked if I wanted help packing orders. Sometimes I said yes. Sometimes I preferred doing it alone. Both answers were okay. One Saturday morning, he watched me preparing a shipment for a customer in Oregon. I used to think success looked like a corner office, he said. I smiled. What does it look like now? He looked around the room. It looks like someone refusing to give up after being told no. That meant more to me than any apology. Still, I had learned something important. Forgiveness doesn't erase the need for boundaries. One evening we sat together and talked honestly about our marriage. I need something from you, I said. Anything. I need my dreams to be treated with respect, even when you don't understand them. He nodded immediately. That's fair. And if you ever disagree with me again, I want us to have a conversation, not sarcasm. I can do that. I also need financial independence to remain part of my life. He looked surprised. You don't trust me? I answered carefully. This isn't about trust. It's about never giving up the confidence I've worked so hard to rebuild. After a long pause, he smiled. I understand. For the first time in years, I believed he actually did. A year later, my business had grown enough that I left my corporate job. It wasn't because I had to. It was because I finally believed I could. We celebrated quietly with dinner on our back patio, no expensive restaurant, no big speeches, just 2 people who had learned that respect is worth more than pride. Sometimes people ask me if success changed my husband. I don't think success changed him. Consequences did. When he saw that his words could either build our marriage or slowly tear it down, he chose differently. As for me, my greatest achievement wasn't paying our mortgage. It wasn't growing a successful business. It wasn't proving anyone wrong. It was learning that my dreams didn't need permission to exist. I had spent years waiting for someone else to believe in me. The day I started believing in myself, everything else began to change. Now, every package I send carries a handwritten note for the customer. At the bottom, I write the same sentence every single time. Never let someone else's limits become your own, because sometimes the quietest comeback isn't an argument. It's a life so full of purpose that your peace speaks louder than anyone's doubts. If this story touched you, please comment and subscribe. I have one question for you. Have you ever achieved something that others said you couldn't? Let me know your answer below.